Hello YouTube, today in this video I'll be talking about Linux file systems, absolute paths, relative paths, and relative to home paths. In the Linux operating system, all directories and files, no matter how many storage devices you have, it'll always be under the root directory. The root directory is the starting directory to which all directories are located in. Now let me go ahead and show you what the root directory contains. The root directory is represented by a // So I'll do a cd / and it'll take me inside the root directory. Let's do a ls command. So inside the root directory, we have a directory called the home directory. The home directory stores users' home directories. So my home directory is called nightmares. Nightmares will be stored in this home directory. We have the bin directory. The bin directory stores common system commands. We have the etc directory, which has general system administration files. We have the var directory, which has log files. And we have the dev directory, which has device files. Let's go back into my home directory, issuing the command cd . So whenever a new account is created on the system, a user receives his or her own home directory. The home directory can be represented by a tilde . Okay. So let's see what's inside my home directory. ls-a. Okay, so as you guys can see, we have some files that begin with a dot. Now the dot means that those files are hidden files. And in order to show hidden files, we can always issue the commands. Always issue the command ls-a. Let's see what type of files we have in my home directory. ls-l. So the first character over here represents the file type. So the dash over here represents that this is a regular file. The D represents that it's a directory. And if I were to have a B or a capital C, it would represent a device file. So just remember, when naming a file or directory, make it meaningful so when you have to use it in path names, it's not difficult. Adopt a good file naming technique which will help you find your files later on. Avoid using characters other than numbers or alphabets because they have a special meaning to it. So if you use characters other than alphanumeric, then the terminal will think of it as something else because those characters do have a special meaning to it. Now I'll go on and talk about absolute, relative path names and relative to home path names. So what is a path name? A path name is a list of names of directories which will lead you to another file basically, or another directory. To see a structure of a directory, we can issue the command tree. So if I want to view the directory structure of my home directory, I can issue the command tree. So as you can see, it'll just show me a tree-like structure of my home directory. So let's begin with absolute path names. So absolute path names will always begin with a // which represents the root directory. So let me show you an example. So if I want to navigate over to downloads, let's navigate over to the downloads directory, okay? So first of all, let's see what directory we are in right now. Issuing the print working directory command, pwd. Okay, so I could do this, cd. This is an absolute, so absolute, remember, absolute path names will always begin with a / that represents a root directory. / home nightmares downloads. This is an absolute path name. Okay, let's go back into my home directory. And let me show you relative path names. So relative path names are related to the location of the present or working directory. If I issue the command in my home folder, cd I'm in downloads. I didn't have to use all that extra path name which I did for absolute. It's much more easier and it involves less typing. So relative path names, you can also use a dot, which represents your current directory, or 2 dots, which means one level up a directory or a parent directory. Let me show you a demonstration of that. Let's go back into my home directory. I'll clear the terminal here. ls. Okay, so we have a directory called rabbits. Okay, let me tree rabbits. So what I'll do is navigate over to hamsters, and we'll move the directory healthy into hamsters using a relative path name. So cd rabbits birds rats hamsters. So now I'm in the hamsters directory. Okay, so let's move the directory healthy. So mv. Now remember, I'm gonna move 3 directory levels up. So dot would put me into the rats directory. Another dot would put me into the birds directory. Another dot would put me into the rabbits directory. And now I could put healthy and space. Now I gotta put where I want to put this file, which is in my current directory, hamsters. Okay, so I could represent my current directory, as I told you before, with a dot. And let's see if that directory was moved. And there you go, we have a directory called healthy. We managed to move that. So that makes it really easier to use. Now I'll show you relative to home directory path. So relative to home directory path name would be represented by a tilde. So say if I wanted to move a file from my home directory into hamsters. So I could do this, cd sorry, not cd, mv We'll take the file. I have a file called dad in my home directory, so we'll take that. And we'll move into my current directory. So what we did there was a relative to home path names. Relative to home path names are always represented by a tilde. Okay, to wrap this up, I'll just mention one more thing. So use whichever path name that would fit the right situation, or which is more easier to use and obviously involves less typing and saves you more time. So I will be making more videos on Linux. The next videos will be probably file permissions and regular expressions. So do leave some feedback, like if you do like the video. And if you want me to clarify things in the next video, please do comment and I will make sure to clarify things. Thank you for watching. Shiroz Alam here for IT Rocks.